Thank you, Sherry. Welcome, everybody. Always happy to be here. So, tonight is going to be a rather special call. I have, again, thought about going deeper into this one for about a year. We've done something like this a couple years ago, and I have I have the ability to take some complicated things and make them relatively simple for people to understand. And this gene study was one of the first ones that I saw, I guess, 9 years ago when we first evaluated ASEA to know really what are these molecules and what is it doing in my body and why are my patients responding so great to it? That was the biggest question I had. And this study blew me away. So people that love research, they get into things like this in a major way. Um, and so we've talked about it a few times, but we've taught a lot of things in the last couple of years to really help you get in tune with how your body's responding to your environment, how it's healing or how it's not healing, and then things that we can do to trigger and activate those processes to change or to adapt better or to gain more resilience in your body. So, we talk about things at the cellular level. And for a lot of you, you know what the word means, but it doesn't really compute to any kind of weight in your life. Like, oh, if that's affecting my cell like that, I better not do that. Because you're just thinking, hey, I got 100 trillion cells. It's okay if a few of them get damaged every now and then. My body seems to be pretty good at replacing them. Okay, so today we're going to go a little bit deeper. I know the cell is a pretty small thing, it's about 200 times smaller than a piece of hair, but we're going to go into the nucleus of the cell. And then we're going to go into a chromosome, and then we're going to go into the actual strand of DNA. And so we're getting tiny, 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 tiny. And then we're going to talk about how we can affect that and what that actually means to your health, to your overall health. And so in going that small and getting down to the actual strands of DNA, we're going to be able to have some great insight that there is hope, that you're not destined to live the outcome, the diseases of your parents or the conditions that your parents suffered from. You might know why you're hereditarily predisposed to have those, but we're also going to talk about, well, how do we turn it off? How do we turn it on? What makes that happen in us? It's so fascinating. I've been teaching continuing ed for 3 decades now to other doctors to get their license renewed. And for the last, I guess, 15 years now, epigenetics has been on the topic. And that's the study of genes and how they express themselves through your DNA. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen, and we're going to try to make some research here real simple for all of us to understand. So to begin with, we're here with the company called ASEA. And ASEA is not designated to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any condition or diseases. We're talking strictly structure, function, how our body works, and how these molecules will assist our body in working. And so we have this amazing product called Redox Signaling Molecules, which is a liquid that we hold in our mouth for 15 seconds, and then 85% of these molecules are absorbed just in that first 15 seconds. And they're going to go to town on your cells and help your body restore what we call homeostasis. And so usually we talk about a body part and a structure and a function. And at the end, we lead to, hey, this is what redox signaling molecules are and what ASEA is. But today, it's going to be helpful to know we start here and then we go into our DNA. It's going to help make a whole lot more sense. So, our DNA is basically packed within a chromosome inside one of our cells, really tiny inside there. And this little helix, this spiral helix of a ladder, it looks like, is literally made with 3.16 billion runs on that ladder. And that defines you. And within each one of those runs of the ladder, guess what? There is so much genetic code that is half your mom's, half your dad's before it became you. Now yours has been altering and adapting and changing throughout the influence of your life. out of the thoughts that you're thinking, out of the bacteria that's present in your gut, and of course, your lifestyle. So if you can see all these little molecule structures embedded into these runs of your DNA, they're either blue or red or neutral. And so think of the red like a positively charged molecule, and the blue is a negatively charged molecule. So just like looking at an equalizer controlling all the sound for a whole concert, all those little switches have to be just right for everything to function and to work right. So we're going to talk about how redox molecules can start flipping these switches and create a better genetic expression for the next cell that's coming along the pipeline. So all of that is done through the use of positive and negative molecules. And that's exactly what we have in that bottle of ASEA. The same, in fact, molecules that every cell of your body is making to defend the cell and to actually do its function. So let's get into some basics. What are genes? Okay, genes are basic units of hereditary in living organisms. And so they're a segment of DNA that contains instructions for the development, the function, the growth, the reproduction of all organisms. And so think of this like the blueprint. When my body needs a new type of cell, it goes to the blueprint and says, how do we do that? The DNA tells us how to make it. And so we'll get into that in just a moment. Your DNA consists of structure, which are basically sequence of nucleotides that are the building blocks of our DNA. Its function is to encode proteins, to have all sorts of different functions. Everything in your body has a protein base to it. Proteins, vitamins, and minerals are in basically every cell. So what proteins do we make? How do we make them? How fast do we make them? How efficient do we make them? This is the job of redox, and it's coming from the DNA to teach us how to encode what's the formula to baking up a protein cake. Let's just say we have the ingredients, but we need to know how to put it all together. And so that's what our DNA is functioning for. And the inheritance from our parents, half excuse me, half of the run of the ladder right there comes from mom, and the other half comes from dad. And the genetic expression on each run of the ladder that they're donating to you was based on a lifetime of expression, a lifetime of fine tuning the equalizer to be the best version of themselves, and they passed along that to you. Now, some of that they pass on is like eye color and height and things that we can't change, they're fixed. But 95% of all your genes are adaptable. So if we put ourselves in a better environment and we consistently do these things, we can start to change the codes to be better than they even are right now. Or unfortunately, if we have an abusive lifestyle, we could continue to change those codes to have to defend ourselves and to fight a battle rather than to go heal our body. Okay. And so we could make them worse or we can make them better. A lot of it goes by just the attitude that we have and how well we live our lives. So the way the gene expression works is this is a chromosome in the middle video here. And we have inside that chromosome, all your DNA is wound up inside of there. All of those ladders that we mentioned, the 3.6 billion um, ladders that make up your whole DNA strand. Now, this is like the motherboard of your computer, the hard drive. It has all of the data in it of everything that you've ever been exposed to and how you've adapted and how you've lived through that. And it is literally going to start transcribing copies of that. And that's called RNA. Think of it like a copy machine. Now, the amount of redox signaling molecules you have present is going to determine the speed of your copy machine. And when you're making a new cell, you want to make as many copies of that DNA as you possibly can and find the cleanest, best, youngest version of that DNA to assign that one to your new cell because it's never going to compete to be anything else once it gets its instruction. So, our lifestyle and whether we have an abundance of redox is determining, are we using a copy machine that does like 3 pages per minute? Or are we doing one that can do 300 pages a minute? How fast can this process work? And that's all lifestyle driven on how we're living our lives. Now, the role of signaling pathways within our cells have it's all about redox. So we have free redox molecules floating around. Some of them might be free radicals, some of them might be antioxidants. And so we're constantly trying to neutralize these before they can attack and get all the way to our DNA and start messing with the switches. Okay. We don't want that free radical damage to do that. So we have these signaling pathways literally from every type of cell to all parts of the body. It's for growth and division. It's for cell communication. It's for the metabolism, making energy for our cells. It's for our immune response. It's for our gene expression and even apoptosis, which is the survival. When we say self destruct, we can't even make a good copy of this. Let's just kill this one and start over with a brand new one. So, understanding these pathways, it's vital to have insights on how diseases work and how we can develop them over time, but also target strategies on how to overcome them and how to start making the cells produce better quality cells. Now, for those of you that have heard my testimony in the past, I was in a head on collision. I was permanently disabled in a wheelchair for a lot of years. And a few points in there, I started to give up hope. I was always very optimistic and always like, I'm going to beat this thing and I'm going to get through it. But I gave up hope after so many surgeries and after finally being medicated. And I realized, you know what? Exactly what I'm speaking on right now. My DNA is always looking for a better version of itself. And yes, I have a lot of damaged cells, but my body is working really hard on making the next one not be as damaged as this one, and maybe even completely healed. This is the key to getting to the root of everything is we have to help our body heal better. It's not a drug or a surgery that heals us. It can certainly save our lives and manage our symptoms and even manage our vital signs. But the healing is all going to come within. And we need these signaling pathways to be open and communicating well so everything works. I mean, if you think about it in life, isn't everything communication? From your marriage to your relationship with your family to your businesses to any aspect of life. Everybody's communicating, few people are connecting. Okay, it takes some intent to connect. It's the same thing with your DNA. It's communicating all the time. It wants to connect to a better cell, into a healthier version, but we have to give it something to do that. We have to put ourselves in a different space. Think of it this way: the plan you're currently working was precisely designed to get you exactly where you're at today. So if your health plan is not what you wish it was, we need to do something different to get to a different place. And Redox is going to be your fast track. It's like going to the amusement park and getting a pass to get in front of the line every time. You don't have to wait for this slow thing called healing to come around. It's we're going to take it by the horns and run right out to it and literally make that happen. So the whole point of tonight's call was to talk about a study, right? So that kind of teed up what we're talking about in the study. And this was done by Torrent Laboratories. Now, Torrent Laboratories is a leading genetic research laboratory. They conduct an observational study to understand how ASEA redox affects the activation of human genes. And in essence, that's kind of what we're talking about. We want these genes to be active and be able to be better responsible to do their function. So Torrent Labs believes that in advancing medical research through leading edge genomic services, they have spearheaded projects that have led to gene testing breakthroughs in multiple industries, and they have the potential to help countless numbers of people. So they took our product and they devised an 8-week study, and the study was with 60 participants. And this was a double blind, placebo controlled study. And so they took 25 people and gave them a ASEA redox to the tune of 8 ounces a day. And then they took 25 people and gave them saline. They gave them salt water. And in fact, it was the actual salt water that ASEA starts with before it puts it through its process to break it all down and make it special. And so half of them were on the end product, half of them were on the beginning product, and then 10 people were tested but didn't do anything for the whole 8 weeks. They didn't take any placebo or any effect in that aspect whatsoever. So it's important to realize that we were comparing apples to apples because the way they administrate it using the same saline, the same water that we use to make our end product was the exact product that was actually used. So, what did they find? Well, they looked specifically at the genes that regulate the function of our immune system, our vascular system, our digestive system, our hormone system, and then our inflammation pathways. So, those five genes specifically were the ones that they were testing over time. And what they found was the group that actually drank the ASEA molecules had a positive change in gene expression anywhere from 20 to 31%. Now, just in a 2 month time, that's amazing. They don't change that quickly, typically in expressions of genes. And so the interesting fact of that was that the other two groups had 0%, 0.0% in all five categories. Whether they didn't take or whether they took just salt water, it had no effect on them whatsoever. So that's very compelling. And what we're talking about as far as gene expression, it had the ability to give more workers in there to clean up the equalizer. You still heard a little static here, a little static there. And through all your millions of gene expressions that your cells are doing, it's able to get in there and make it more resilient and have more balance. And what they found is each of these gene pathways um, or genes lead to over 15 different gene pathways. And it was affecting those pathways as well. So that opened up Pandora's box to do so many more studies. And we're not saying that we go and pay to have studies done. We have research hospitals and universities paying the price to do the studies because they're so infatuated with redox chemistry and with our product in particular. In fact, I don't know the exact number of how much the study cost, but it was in the millions. And one company in particular just didn't believe the results. So they paid to have it done again, and then they paid to have it done again, and they ended up doing it 7 times in a row because they thought for sure it wasn't gonna be consistent through all the tests, and every single time it was consistent and did exactly what the outcome predicted. And so what do these gene pathways mean? Well, we have several different ones. First of all, the BDNF pathway. This is brain-derived neurotropic proteins that your brain produces only when you're growing new brain tissue. And so you need to be stimulated to do that. So the fact that this was affecting that pathway was astonishing for me because that's my specialty is the brain traumas and dysregulation. The second thing is your circadian rhythm. So that affects your sleep. No wonder so many people start having this redox product and then they start sleeping well. The next one was insulin signaling. This is controlling and regulating your blood sugar. Kind of important, right? And so the fact that this is doing that on top of all these other things, it's very hopeful to not lead into type 3 diabetes, which we call dementia and all the other cognitive declines. We also have interferon. Interferon is your immune system's first line of defense to start communicating to other cells. Remember how we talked about redox molecules are tiny molecules, highly energetic. They can penetrate any cell without an invitation, activate, turn on and off switches, causing this cascading effect. What they're doing is they're using nutriferon is helping do all of that cascading effect to bring those signals to other cells so they can adapt to whatever the threat is on that cell and survive, right? It's all about survival. And then, of course, the NRF2 pathway is the number one pathway that we use to make glutathione, an antioxidant. So when we sense that there's oxidative stress building in our body, we flick that switch, and the faster we can do it, the faster we get rid of the oxidative stress. Think of a vending machine and a little fire extinguisher pops out. Redox molecules is the fireman that grabs it and goes and puts out the fire. If that pathway is not working, it's going to lead to a different pathway which triggers inflammation. If that inflammation stays on and doesn't complete, it's going to create autoimmune disorders in your body. So you can see this just opened up Pandora's box to so many more things that can be helped by improving genetic expression and by taking redox molecules because it's doing exactly that. So, what does it mean for our health? Well, for our immune system, it means that we're more resilient. We can respond faster, attack quicker, and be able to neutralize our threats and restore homeostasis quickly in the body. That's exactly what our immune system's trying to do. And we improved it by over 20% just by having a consistent amount of these molecules in your body. Think of it like you're putting extra helpers in there to do these jobs. We talk about cardiovascular support. The entire lining of your entire vascular system has like a shag carpet called your glycocalyx, and it's embedded with redox signaling molecules. These molecules are the intelligence of your vascular system. So if you don't have enough and you have lots of damage in places where you cannot have the redox attached to that area, you're losing the intelligence and creating cardiovascular issues. So this has been proven not just with the genetic expression to improve function of cardiovascular, it's also been proven to grow new microvessels, which is super exciting, especially for people that have had viruses in the last 4 years that have taken out a lot of those vessels. We also have outside of the cardio support is the digestive support. That's one of the very first things everybody starts seeing is their digestive becomes more consistent and regular. All of your digestive lining is embedded with redox, just like the vascular system. But then redox is responsible for turning on and producing all your digestive enzymes. And if you're not getting the proper signaling at the right time, you're not going to produce at all the enzyme or the right enzyme to do the job that's needed. So all of that is signaling, and that was over a 30% change for that one. Hormone modulation, we have 50 hormones in our body. And for those of you that know people or yourself have had some hormones that were out of balance, it's not a little thing. It can become a major thing and ruin your whole day and your whole demeanor. And so the fact that every hormone's production and release and then inhibition of it is all triggers regulated by redox signaling molecules. So the more of these we have in place, the more we can expect our hormones to be more balanced, longer, and live a much healthier life. And then, of course, we already talked about inflammation. Inflammation is normal and it's a very healthy response, but it's supposed to be for an event, not just turned on and staying on. Okay, if we can't heal the problem, it turns into all sorts of different autoimmune issues. And the two set things that any one of your cells in your body can experience, oxidative stress or inflammation. It's just that simple. And guess what? What is the first thing your body makes inside each cell to deal with either stress? Redox signaling molecules, specifically hydrogen and oxygen. Exactly what you're getting, an ample supply here. So what are the long-term implications of this? Well, we have stable gene expression, which means it doesn't let anybody into the control room and just start messing with switches randomly. Okay, you got a good security guard controlling how you're choosing to express your genes, and you can make it stronger, more resilient, and consistent. So what does that mean for your health benefits? Well, it means you're going to delay any of the onset of the elderly diseases that people eventually get when you lose the amount of potential in your cells. Remember, health is just a dance of the electrons at the cellular level. And if you have them, you're healthy. And if you don't, you're going to get sick. It's just that simple. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's just stealing away the charge of our cells. And so there has been more research on redox signaling molecules in the last decade than any other topic in the world. And we're the only company that has the product. So it's research being done on how the body uses its redox to heal and how we can help that. And things like your diet play a huge role. Eating plants and vegetables and meats and lean cheeses and things and fats, these are all healthy for us. They grew from the ground and they're going to help us sustain our life. It helps us sustain high levels of redox. But the simple fact is that we're losing them. Every year you lose 1% of them. So in the study, how does the study findings, what does that relate to our everyday life? Well, it means that you're going to be able to sleep better, get up, move better, have more flexibility, have more resilience, actually feel like doing things. It doesn't matter how old we live if we don't have our health. Our health is our number one asset in our life. And the overall consensus is that people just feel healthier. They feel like they did before they started having issues. And you have to kind of remind them of the issues they used to have because they're so easy to forget when we feel normal. And take it from somebody that never felt pain free for 17 years. Once I found it, it was speechless. Like I completely forgot what that felt like. And I didn't even think it was possible to feel that way. So the practical applications in daily life, it's about being consistent. We always do a shot of it morning and night, 2 ounces. And then if I'm an athlete, I'm doing it again right before I exercise. I'm doing it again right after exercise. The recovery is so important. I think globally, more people that are athletes are overtraining than not, and they're not recovering enough, and they just want to keep going and going. And so this is a product that's going to do that. It's going to be a product that you always have on hand. When I have the gel with me at all times, if I get a cut, a burn, a bump, a sting, a rash, a blister, anything that's skin related or even body related where I hurt right here, I'm going to take that gel and I'm going to rub it right into that area. And it's going to be amazing on how fast my body starts to heal it. It's not the gel healing you. It's the gel is the means, the signaling molecules that your body needs to use to communicate to know how to heal that and to heal it all on its own. So you're going to find yourself every year that you're consistent with it, feeling actually a year younger rather than a year older. In fact, it's not even going to take you that many years to get back to the chemistry that you once had when you were in your 20s. So, however old you are, that's the percentage of molecules that you no longer make in your body. And for some people, that can be a little scary. But you don't have to be scared about that because we have this amazing product that we just talked about triggers your genetic expression for all those things from your immune to your inflammation to your cardiovascular, your gut health, and your hormone health. All of those are amazing. It's going to protect against free radicals. Remember, that's oxidative stress. That's the first line of defense that your body needs to defend against. And it makes glutathione to do that process. And this has been clinically proven that will increase your levels of glutathione 800% every time you do a shot. And so that's amazing. It's also been proven to kill under 30 seconds every tested bacteria and virus, which were 30 of the most resistant strands that were out there. 100% kill within 30 seconds. You think that's important for immunity to be able to give the molecules that are going to neutralize and kill the bugs in our body? Pretty important. It's all vital activity at cellular functions. That cellular function all function happens because of switches turned on and off by redox. So if you're deficient in these, you just don't have the resilience. You're not as sharp. You're not responding as fast, for anything your body needs it health wise. For the athletes, immediately you're going to see a difference in endurance, in how much strength you have, your oxygen, your VO max from exercise, and that's going to speed up your recovery. Athletes from every age category love redox for recovery. Completely native to the body, which means this is impossible for it not to work because all of us make it every second of every day. And if you stopped making it, you'd be dead in 3 minutes. There's zero toxicity, so we never have to worry about, well, can I take too much? Did I put too much inside me in this orifice or whatever it is that you're needing to put these molecules? And the answer is no. It is 100% safe for everybody and is supported by research. So it's not just theory, this is proven. And the more you learn about redox molecules, the more you're going to be so amazed at how wonderful and fearful our bodies are made. Inside every cell of our body, we have these little things called mitochondria, and they're producing these molecules for you at the rate of exactly what you need and what it can output. Okay. And so you might need more, but it can only output so much because of your age. But you're using it instantly, is what I'm saying. And so ASEA is the only product on the market that can actually stabilize these molecules for up to 2 years in that bottle. The ones that you make last less than a second and they're fleeting and gone. And so this is such an amazing supplement because it's going to improve your body's redox chemistry and the potential. It's going to give you homeostasis. The faster you get into homeostasis, the more energy that you now have to heal other things. Otherwise, your body spends its total day fighting to get you back into a healthy zone so you don't die. And unfortunately, most people spend all day getting there and have nothing left over to heal anything at the end of the day. So it's all about resilience. And this is exactly the best thing you could ever put into your body to improve your cellular resilience, get the cells functioning better. Now, I know we talked about genes and genetics. That's in every cell, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just your gut cell, it's not just your heart cell. Every cell in your body has these codes in it. And when it's trying to reproduce that cell, it says, hey, what did mom and dad make their heart healthy? What did I do for the earlier parts of my life? What is my code looking like now? And how can I enhance that and make it sound better? Well, that's exactly why you want to improve your immunity and improve your redox chemistry. And this is an amazing product that will do exactly that. And that's what ASEA is. It's not a supplement that's going to become a building block in your new cells. It's the workers that are helping you build the cell and to communicate to make sure it is the best version of you. So, as I said in the beginning, this isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent anything. We just want to make you a better you. And as we give you these molecules, your body knows exactly what to do with them and how to get the most out of it. So, thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you again next week.